Bayerische Motorenwerke. Hey, any Germans out there? Drop me a comment. How bad was that? BMW, I love you. You know I do. I almost bought an F800 GS once. But I gotta ask, why? The truth is, I've been trying to avoid talking about this bike, but it's everywhere. Every Moto website and YouTube channel. It's so big it captured me in its gravitational pull, like getting sucked into a black hole. Now in general, I try to avoid talking poop about bikes. Alright, maybe not so much. I believe the words 1930s tractor technology have escaped my lips recently. But generally I try to focus on the positives. I'm gonna make an exception here, so here goes. Hit that subscribe button if you want to hear about the latest bikes, and if you love the R18 and are easily offended, hit that dislike button and warm up those fingers for the comment section, cause here we go. First, let's give BMW some credit. They make some of the best bikes and cars in the world. Have you seen the M2 CS? I like it cause it's small, nimble, and comes with a 6-speed manual. Their motorcycles? We're all about body positivity here at Different Spokes TV, and I don't want to fat shame the big GS's, but despite being a bit porky, they handle great. It's not the weight, it's how you carry it. And even though the R18 is not exactly heroin chic at 750 pounds, it's actually the heaviest BMW motorcycle, I'm sure it handles remarkably well for its size. So let's talk about this bike for a second before we rip it a new one, shall we? What we have here is a heavyweight American-type cruiser invoking styling cues from the classic BMWs, most specifically the R5. I'm sure you're familiar with the specs, but I'll give them to you in a nutshell. 1802 cc's, around 90 horsepower, not that that matters on a bike like this, 116 foot-pounds of torque, that's what really matters on a bike like this, and an exposed shaft drive, just like on the R5. There's more. The bike has 3 rider modes, rock, roll, and rain. And the reverse gear. Oh BMW, what have you done? And it will have all the other goodies like traction control, cruise control, hill hold, slipper clutch, cornering lights, keyless ignition, heated grips, and of course ABS. Let me repeat, it has a reverse gear. So in short, it has good power, awesome torque, and all kinds of cool technology, and it will probably smoke a stock fat boy in the quarter mile. And with that low center of gravity, it will likely outhandle one too. But now the bad. BMW, what the hell is this? Really? You think this will fly? If this thing was any bigger, you could land an F-18 on it. And quite frankly, if its turning radius beats the USS Nimitz, BMW should declare victory. And I haven't even mentioned those pipes yet. And are those cylinders sticking out the sides or wings? An 1800cc Harley with wings is what you've built. Yes, I know, this is a throwback to the legendary R5, blah blah, heritage, blah blah, modern classic, blah. Save the sales speak and let's talk about why this bike will never sell in significant numbers anywhere in the world. But first, you didn't think you'd get through a Different Spokes episode without a history lesson, did you? Of course not. Before BMW made cars, they made motorcycles. And before they made motorcycles, they made airplanes. BMW got its start building aircraft engines in World War I and continued to do so throughout World War II. Their most famous aircraft engine was the BMW 801 Radial Engine, which powered the Focke-Wulf 190, one of the most fearsome German fighters of the war. What is a radial engine? Glad you asked. It's an engine placed at the front of the plane with air-cooled cylinders arranged in a circle around the prop. They're arranged there so they can be cooled by the passing air. Now, the prevailing wisdom of the time was that the liquid-cooled inline engines like in the Messerschmitt 109 and Spitfire were the only ones suitable for fighters because of their improved aerodynamics. However, this BMW mill was put into the FW190, and the 190 became the best German prop-driven fighter in the war, giving Allied pilots all kinds of fits. An air-cooled engine successfully competing with liquid-cooled ones in performance. Sound familiar? So if you were wondering why BMW chooses to hang air-cooled and now even liquid-cooled cylinders out the sides of their vehicles, that might be why. If it worked for a 2,000 horsepower, 41,800cc fighter plane, it should be fine on a motorcycle. And it has been. BMW's R bikes have done exceptionally well, especially the big GS, thanks in no small part to Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the spokes be with him. And every bike with a big flat twin, whether air or water-cooled, has been comfortable. But all those bikes have an upright seating position. The foot pegs on all those machines are under the seat, and those big cylinders in front of your legs are great at keeping the wind off you. I know, I ride a Moto Guzzi. And they'll even protect you in the event of a crash. But none of those bikes are cruisers. They all have higher seat heights and tipped forward rider triangles. What does this mean? The riders on those bikes are tipped forward and therefore comfortable with their legs under them. Not so on the R18. This bike is a cruiser and the seating position is much more laid back. Now for context, I have to invoke a bike I rode last year. The Harley-Davidson Softail Lowrider. An absolutely beautiful bike and you feel like a king riding the thing. But I wasn't comfortable on it. I felt cramped and I'm not a tall guy. I'm 5'11 and a half and have a 32-inch inseam. You see, the Lowrider is one of the few Harley big twins with mid controls. That means the pegs are closer to the seat instead of way out front. And in the position I was sitting, I felt like my hips were jammed up. Harley may have put mid controls on that bike because they're tailoring it to shorter riders. What other bike has the same riding position? The BMW R18. Here's the difference though. If, like me, you're an average sized male and you want to get a Harley, there are plenty of models with forward controls. Even if you have your heart set on a lowrider, you can get forward controls put on the bike to get the legroom and open up those hips. However, you won't be able to get forward controls on the BMW because those giant cylinders are in the way. To be fair, BMW is offering engine guards on the bike where you can rest your legs on top of the cylinders as you're cruising. But I want a motorcycle, not a gynecological exam chair. Oh well, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm old and have tight hips from years of running and cycling. Maybe other 40-somethings and up, because that's the target market for these bikes, are more supple and stretchy than I am. But somehow I don't think so. There's a reason most Harleys have forward controls. Guys like me like their legroom when cruising. And therein lies the problem. The fundamental flaw of having a bike in this shape with this engine configuration. Just because two things are great independent of each other doesn't mean they'll go well together. It's like putting strawberry jam on your burger or sugar on your fries. So this is a giant cruiser for shorter people who don't want a Harley, who don't want an Indian, and yet who are willing to pay more money than they would for a Harley or Indian equivalent? That's a small crowd of people. You need to look at your target market, BMW. Let me help. Meet Jeb from Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama. Jeb likes both types of bikes, Harleys and Buells. Jeb tools around on his 86 FXR because it's the best doggone frame Harley's ever made. Now he might go into a Harley dealership and consider forking out 14.5 G's on a street bob and then putting some forward controls on it. What he won't consider is dropping 17.5 G's on an R18. Meet Alfred from New York City. Alfred is a dentist and likes riding his Fat Bob 114 in a mildly sporty fashion out in the Hamptons. Alfred might have considered an R18 if he wasn't 6'1". Meet Jenny from Florida. She rides a Sportster down to Daytona Bike Week every year. She got into riding through her husband, who rides a Fat Boy. They like to group ride with their friends, all on Harleys, all members of the Harley Owners Group, or HOG for short. Jenny's thinking of upgrading to a Softail Lowrider next season. Those mid-controls are perfect for her height. She'll buy a Bavarian donut at the local coffee shop. What she won't buy is a Bavarian Harley. One more. Meet Hans from Munich. Hans wears a Gore-Tex Klim jacket while riding his 2013 R1200 GS through the twisties in the Alps every year. He's considering a trip to Morocco next year. Hans is thinking about trading in his R1200 GS for an R1250 GS sometime this season. See what I mean, BMW? Where's the market for the R18? A bike this big and expensive can only really sell in large numbers in Europe and North America. But it won't because it doesn't have an established cruiser following, and current BMW owners won't buy it either because it's not their type of bike. I have to be real though. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. It's a rolling piece of art, one of the most beautiful motorcycles in the world. Some might hate the cylinders sticking out like that, but I could get used to it. Hey, I ride a Moto Guzzi after all. But I wouldn't buy it. I'd buy a GS, the 1250 or the 850, depending on how much I thought I'd go off-road. So now that we've come full circle, let's return to those pipes. For an otherwise beautiful bike, these were an unfortunate choice. The shape is ridiculous and the size even more so. Rocket boosters off the space shuttle are smaller than these monstrosities. So, do I like the R18? Yeah, sort of. in that weird way that you like other quirky things like an iPhone dock toilet roll dispenser or a 12-foot tall inflatable animated spider. They're interesting to contemplate, but I wouldn't spend my money on them. So yeah, it's gorgeous, and it will probably perform well. It is a BMW after all. But it won't sell. If I'm wrong and it outsells the Softails, I'll buy one myself. How about that? So what do you think? Will you buy one? This video is certainly not meant to dissuade you from it. If you're comfortable on it, by all means get one. You'll have one of the most unique and beautiful big cruisers in the world, and I'm sure it will perform well. And you can back over any haters with that reverse gear. If I see one parked outside a Starbucks somewhere, I'll be sure to stop and take a good long gander to admire it, because I don't think I'll get that many chances. Love it or hate it, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Am I wrong here, or was my analysis on the ball? So subscribe and stay tuned to the channel. I'll be getting out on the road more soon. Winter just won't go away here in Canada. It's April 21st and it was snowing today. Keep an eye out for the next vid soon. And maybe, if they lift the quarantine, I'll actually get to bring you some test rides on some new bikes. If you're interested in any of the gear that Brooke and I wear or use, or the camera equipment we use to film this channel, the links are below. Everything listed there was bought with our own money and we are not sponsored by any company. However, the links below are affiliate links and the channel is paid a small amount for referring you to shop at no additional cost to you. We do not recommend any products that we are not satisfied with ourselves, but we do strongly urge you to do your research and select the correct size for items like helmets and clothing. As always, thanks for watching, your support is greatly appreciated. Please hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. And whatever you ride, enjoy it. Wave at other bikers no matter what they're riding, we're all part of a brotherhood and sisterhood. Keep the rubber side down, shiny side up, and may the spokes be with you.